Okay, I'd like to call to order the meeting of the Bedford Township Planning Commission. Is January 24, 2024. It's 7 o'clock. We could stand and do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Okay, Ms. Rector, do you want to do the roll call?
Mr. Lake.
Here.
Mr. Steiner. Aye. Mr. Tremblay.
Aye.
Mr. Andrews.
Here.
Mr. Helm.
Here.
Mr. Mahoney.
Here.
And we do have a new appointment, Mr. Aaron Waynes, and he is on vacation, so hopefully he'll get sworn in, and by the next meeting he'll be in attendance. All present.
Okay, welcome Jacob and Jake. Okay, item 4, election of Planning Commission officers for 2024. Mr. Camprith, can you take us from here?
I can.
Ms. Rector?
Maybe if I figure out
Either
this.
one of you.
It's new every year. We take a nomination for chair and then a second, and then the nomination shall accept and then move forward with a roll call, a vote. And until we have a new secretary, then I will continue to do that. So we'll be looking for a nomination for chairperson.
Okay, is there a nomination on the floor for a chairperson?
Did I hear you say that you didn't want it, Pat? Is that what you said?
You want to nominate somebody?
Well, I'm just saying, did you say that?
It's already got the gavel.
Right. Try to pry this away from now. Just kidding. Does anybody want to make a motion or a nomination?
I'll make a motion to appoint Pat Mahoney.
I'll accept.
I'll second.
Any further nominations? Seeing none, Mr. Helm.
Aye.
Did you second, Rick? Mr. Steiner.
I thought you forgot my name.
I know.
Aye.
Mr. Lake.
Aye.
Mr. Tremblay.
Aye.
Mr. Andrews.
Aye.
Mr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Motion carried. Looking for a motion for vice chair.
I'll make a motion for vice chair of Jake Lake.
I'll accept.
Any other nominations for vice chair?
Needs to be
I'll nominate Brad Helm.
Do we have a second on either of those nominations?
Accept.
Okay, is there a second?
I'll second Mr. Lakes.
He was seconded, wasn't he?
No, I wasn't.
Okay.
He just said he would accept.
So we have a motion for Mr. Lake and a second for Mr. Tremblay, and we have a motion for Brad Helm. Is there a
Is there a second for Mr. Helm?
We can only have one motion on the floor. So we had a motion and a second.
I knew I should have
for Jake
Mr.
Lake.
Camprith. Can we start over?
Sure.
Okay.
Look for a motion for vice chair.
I make a motion, vice chair Jake Lake.
I'll support.
I'll still accept. That's fine.
Okay. Roll call is Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Tremblay.
Aye.
Mr. Lake.
Aye.
Mr. Andrews.
Aye.
Mr. Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Motion carried. Now looking for a motion for secretary.
Make a motion, see if it's accepted, Mr. Andrews.
I'll accept.
I'll second.
Seeing no further nominations, Mr. Steiner.
Aye.
Mr. Helm.
Aye.
Mr. Andrews.
Aye.
Mr. Tremblay.
Aye.
Mr. Lake.
Aye.
Mr. Mahoney.
Aye.
Motion carried.
I could have nominated Aaron, and he's not here.
Okay, item 5, approval of the agenda. Does anybody that was present at the last meeting have a chance to review it? Any changes, modifications, deletions? Speak now. If not, I'll accept a motion to accept the minutes as presented.
I'll make the motion to approve the minutes of the.
We're on the agenda?
That's what I meant, the agenda.
Yeah.
Oh, you threw me off.
Approve the agenda. You said the agenda first, and then you said motion for the minutes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll make a motion to approve the agenda as submitted.
I'll second.
All those in favor, say aye. Aye. Okay, all those opposed? Motion passes unanimously. All right, now approval of the minutes from December 20, 2023.
I'll make a motion to approve the minutes of December 20, 2023.
I'll second.
Okay, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
All those opposed? Motion passes. Thank you. Okay, item 7, public comment. Would anybody in the public like to come up and speak? Seeing none, we'll move on to item 8, old business. Item A, request to reapprove a minor amendment. The proposed amendment to North River Villas 135-unit planned unit development on parcel number 5802-022-052-20 located on Jackman Road between Dean and Temperance Roads. Ms. Rector?
Yes. Again, the applicant is for North River Villas, Dave Schmidt. This is just a reapproval. This was approved in 2021. The applicant is only changing from 4 phases to 3 phases and decreasing from 136 to 135. The subject site is North River Villas, 136 site condominium plan unit development, which is located on the east side of Jackman Road, north of Dean Road. The final PUD project was originally approved by the Township Board on 2/2 of 2021. On November 10th of 2021, the applicant requested and was granted a minor amendment to the PUD as presented. Due to the unforeseen changes, the request has not moved forward. At this time, and due to the length of time in the previous approval, the applicant is proposing to amend the PUD from 4 to 3 phases and adjusting the number of units by 1 as previously approved. It was originally approved as phase 1, 31 units, which is and has been approved on 1/13 of 2021, and I believe that portion of the development Mr. Schmidt wouldn't be able to confirm, but I believe majority of those units have been spoken for. Phase 2, 38 units. Phase 3, 17 units. And Phase 4 was for 50 units. Amending to 135 units. Phase 1 is approved within the 31 units. Phase 2 is going to be 48 units, and Phase 3 is 56 units with the loss of 1. At this time, the applicant is requesting a determination on whether the proposed change in phasing is a major or minor amendment, as Phase 2 will be submitted for and reviewed and approval. While the number of overall units decreases by 1, the layout will remain the same, and the request is only to change from 4 phases to 3. Per Section 417.06 of the zoning ordinance allows for an applicant to seek such a determination. Should the Planning Commission determine the amendment is a major in nature, 1, the PUD plan amendment shall be reviewed and approved in the same manner as for the original submittal. However, should the Planning Commission determine the amendment is minor in nature, they can approve the change without requiring a public hearing and without requiring a submittal to the Township Board, or shall have the authority to determine that the particular change, although a minor amendment, is significant enough that it should be referred to the Township Board for final approval. Previously, the department had reached out to the Mannequin Smith and the Fire Department and the Road Commission, the Drain Commission via email. Please keep in mind, should the determination be made as a minor amendment, the following would be required. A submitted site plan be approved by all the reviewing agencies, and the PUD agreement, master deed, be amended, submitted, and reviewed by the Township Attorney and the Mannequin Smith Group and be re-recorded. The applicant is working on Phase 2, so the determination of this will move forward with the process with approvals through Phase 2 process.
Okay, is the applicant here? Yes. Would you like to come up and introduce yourself and add anything if you wish?
Yeah, my name is David Schmidt, and I'm with Oak Creek Holdings. We're the developers on the North River Villas project, and yeah, basically there's not a lot. Jody pretty much covered it all. I mean, we're really just kind of moved a couple of units around, got rid of one unit to kind of spread things out a little bit as far as some backyards go. And then probably the biggest thing we're doing is just changing the phasing with the length of time that it takes to get these things developed and everything. We just can't get them done in time, to keep the lots, I guess, in the pipeline, if you will. So instead of 4 phases, we went to 3 phases so we could get a few more lots in each phase and not be running out of lots before we have the next one ready. That's pretty much what we're doing.
Hey, tonight we're going to consider 2 things, and I just want to tell you up front, we're 1 board member short. You have the option of deferring to the next meeting when we should have everybody here? Or we can proceed with who we have here, but you need 4 affirmative votes.
Yeah, I mean, it's a pretty minor change, so I'm pretty comfortable, I guess, staying with just with who's here, yeah.
So the first item is to approve this as a minor amendment or a major amendment. Is there any discussion on that?
Mr. Mahoney?
Mr. Lake?
Oh, go ahead. Go ahead.
Oh, I just maybe it's curiosity. I don't know if this is a major or minor change, but the total number of units changed 36, 35. I couldn't really tell where it was in the plot map, but I think you've already specified it was really just to space things out a little bit more.
Yeah, I think coming in the entryway there around 38, 39, and 40, I think we originally had 4 units in there instead of 3, but it kind of made them too close to that lot 37. That whole corner where lot 37 and 38 is was just too bunched up, and so we got rid of a lot there to kind of make a little bit more room.
Yes, if you look at the submitted layouts, the one that is the new phasing that was amended on 1110, he's speaking in phase 2, where the curve comes down, you'll see 41, 40, 39, 36, and 37 with the entrance of Jackman Road. And then if you look at the new one, you'll see it's 40, 39, 38, and 37. And the 41 was bumped towards Jackman. And then I think the other change that I noticed was in phase 3, where 83, 84, and 82, I think those might have been, we were trying to determine where they were to highlight them, but I believe that those were the one changes that I saw where the first 3 units coming in off of Jackman, and then on bumping down, and then the renumbering.
Yeah.
There.
We had to change, we had to do an amendment, I guess, to change the phasing anyway. So we kind of just like took a real close look at everything and decided that a couple of the units were too close together and spread them out a little. It's pretty minor.
Mr. Steiner?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it is pretty straightforward. We've gone over this plan previously. You're not increasing, you're decreasing. Whether it was 1 unit up or down, to me, that doesn't make a huge difference. Phasing, of course, all your infrastructure is really the same. With the phasing, it's just where the split is between where you're going to build each phase out. I would consider this, in my mind, to be minor, just because of the fact we're not making any major changes. We're not increasing the size. We're not incurring or encroaching on any additional properties. You've actually spread out just a little bit, especially where you had your tight spots up there by the entrance. So that's my opinion. I do believe it is minor.
Mr. Chair,
Yes,
if I may, if you look at the one that says the new phase layout for the 3 phases, the changes that Mr. Schmidt was talking about are the ones from phase 2, and then the other one is on the west side of phase 3. If you can look at the board and see where my cursor is, this was what was original, was the up to lots 36, and then you'll see it's changed where this one is where that's where they decreased the number from 31, 32, 33, 34, and it was 35 and 36 on that west side of Grand Lakes Circle in phase 3, and now it is just 131 through 135. So that's where the lot, to give 35, I think, a larger building unit envelope. Just for clarification from Mr. Lake's comment, I did remember where I saw it.
Thank you.
Any other questions for the applicant? Is there a motion on the floor?
I'll make a motion. Of course, I'll entertain friendly amendments if need be. I make a motion that we approve as a minor amendment based on that the infrastructure is not changing, the lot density is only decreasing by 1, and it's obviously contingent upon being provided reviewing agencies' new amended site plan to the Monroe County Road Commission, Monroe County Drainage Commission, Manick and Smith Group, Bedford Township Fire Department, Bedford Township Planning, and the PUD agreement and master deed be amended, submitted, and reviewed by Township Attorney and Manick and Smith Group be recorded.
I'll second.
Okay, support from Mr. Steiner. Ms. Rector, would you like to take the roll?
I'm actually going to hand it over to Mr. Andrews as
Our
the
new
secretary.
Mr. Andrews.
That's good. Mr. Lake,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Mr. Helm,
Yes.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Mr. Andrews is aye, Mr. Mahoney.
Aye. Okay, your motion passed 6-0. 6-0.
Thank you.
Okay, moving on to item 8B, request decision, possibly, well, now we're doing it, request decision on the proposed amendment to North River Villa's 135-unit plan unit development based on the decision just made on parcel number 5802-022-052-20 located on Jackman Road between Dean and Temperance Roads. Ms. Rector.
This is now just approving the final PUD as submitted, moving it forward with all those amendments as still being determined to be a minor amendment, and then moving forward with the PUD and master deed being amended and the project being reviewed by the reviewing agencies for the phase 2.
Okay, thank you. Is there anything you want to add?
No.
Okay. Any questions, items for discussion?
Seems as if it's the same motion I just made. I'm going to repeat myself. I'll make a motion.
I have a question first.
Go ahead. Yeah.
As I recall, the last time you came here, there was some concern from the neighbors to the south about the buffering between your subdivision and the Brookwood in particular. But I guess it would go for 81 all the way through 14. Did you guys come to some kind of agreement on that? It was agreeable to both parties?
So when we were here before, it was,
Phase 1.
yeah, phase 1, it was like lots 5 through 14 that we agreed to put a fence in there.
Yeah, I was just wondering if you worked it out with the...
Yeah, we did. The fence is up. They were really happy with it. It looks
Was
nice.
it a vinyl fence, cedar?
It ended up being cedar that we painted or stained, I should say, and it looks really nice, and everyone seems to be really happy. I don't know if we got it seeded before winter or not, but if not, where we redid the mound there, we'll seed it in the spring. But everybody seems to be ecstatic. I mean, I got a couple emails from the previous, from the homeowners that are already in there and said they were really happy with it. So.
Yeah, I think their other concern was that supply trucks enter through Jackman Road, correct?
Haven't had a problem with that so far, at least that I've heard of. So yeah, I think we're all good. All the heavy trucks when we did the phase was supposed to come in off of Jackman, which they did. And, we haven't had any complaints that I know of.
Okay.
Jody, you could probably tell me better than.
And from my department, we have not had any complaints, and they do have the construction signs up that say no construction route going in through Brookwood.
So I think everyone's going good. We're selling lots. We just need to keep moving. And
I remember talking to you before. I don't know if it was by email or on phone, but you were very open to working with these guys, and it's appreciated.
we did, yeah. We were, and they were all my customers that we built for before. So, I mean, we try and be a good neighbor and make them happy. I think we did.
Okay, so there was a second on the floor, correct? Mr. Steiner?
He was actually starting. It didn't actually get to a motion.
Okay.
Got to do a new one. I will make a motion that we approve the new plan as submitted for North River Villas. Let's see, the 135-unit land unit development on parcel 5802-022-052-20 located on Jackman Road between Dean and Temperance Road. Contingent upon a submitted amended site plan be provided to all the reviewing agencies such as Monroe County Road Commission, Monroe County Drain Commission, Manick and Smith Group, Bedford Township Fire Department, and Bedford Township Planning Department, and also the PUD agreement and master deed be amended, submitted, and reviewed by the Township Attorney, and Manick and Smith Group be recorded.
Second.
Okay, second by Mr. Steiner.
Mr. Andrews, you want to call the roll?
Mr. Lake,
Yes.
Mr. Steiner,
Aye.
Mr. Helm,
Yes.
Mr. Trombley,
Aye.
Mr. Andrews is aye, Mr. Mahoney.
Aye. Okay, motion passes 0.
Okay, thank you all.
Have a good night.
Yep, have a good night.
Okay, moving on to item 8C, discussion on amendments to the capital improvement plan.
So after further discussions and meeting with the elected officials and speaking with MTA on some language within the state statute for the structures that are in the assets of the township, we re-reviewed the CIP and have determined that some of those items that are on there should really be done through the yearly budget. So we're going to just discuss it to give some information because we will have to be making a determination on these to move it forward to the township board. On the first page, highlighted in red, which is election equipment. Moving down to fencing and the like at the cemeteries, salt box trucks, heavy-duty building and grounds equipment. Those are things, the backhoe, the Treasurer's Department for an updated on the drawer, folding paper for the tax bills, those types of things. Those things are items that the township should be budgeting in a yearly budget, not actually in the CIP for the 6-year plan. Things that are in the plan, we are working with the building official in the planning department and with the park commission to go out to the parks. Main thing, the assets that the township has are the structures at the parks, the playground equipment, the gazebos, the pavilions, parking lot areas at the parks. Those types of things are structure, maintenance, large purchases that the township should be putting into the CIP. So at this point, what we determined last year in the township revolving fund, which is the turf that is referred to with the CIP, we had a balance of $380,000 that we had already allocated into that fund. We have $200,000 each year contracted with Monroe County Drain Commission for the sewer treatment plant. That is a yearly cost that will always be added every year in its own fund. It's an OMN fund, but it will be part of the CIP every year. So in conclusion, with that allocation and the total allocation of $580,000 with all the items that were listed last year, we added another $200,000 for the balance of the $580,000 in the turf fund. In reviewing it, the items in red, I would like to move forward with the finance manager, Mr. Miller, have those moved into back to the general fund or I believe it's a fund that we have that the township board is budgeting. I don't want to misspeak on that. I will have that information when we make that decision. I'm just giving you information to be able to review it. So when I come back, you have had an opportunity. Those are the items I'm going to request to be removed because they are not actually defined by the state statute as capital improvement projects. Those would be items that should be budgeted yearly. We did include the actual spreadsheet that we had, which breaks all of it down into each department. This is the for the maintenance, and those in red would be the ones that we're looking to be removed. Highlighted in are in conclusion whether we want to keep them in. Like the salt spreader, we had an original cost in 2020 was $5,290. Replacement year would be approximately 2025. We estimated a $7,000 cost increase in 2025. So in 2024, we allocated $3,500 already because if we have to purchase that in 2025, in 2024, we would have put in another $3,500 and we would have had that $7,000 within the turf to purchase that. Having said that, we're looking to remove that take the allocation out, all those items in red. So if you have an opportunity to review these documents, if you have any questions, you can shoot them over via email to us. Come in and schedule a meeting. We'll go over it. But those items in red, we are looking to remove from the capital improvement to be moved to a yearly budget within the township board's determination. But we can ask for, such as the F-250, which is original cost was $21,999. Estimated cost for a new purchase would be around $48,000, possibly a new purchase in 2025. Planning Commission can recommend to the Township Board to keep that in the turf, since we already recommended $24,000 last year. If we did another $24,000 this year, those are large purchase items for the buildings and grounds. If the Planning Commission recommends to keep those items highlighted in yellow, which are items that the Planning Department looked at are like, you're looking at a mower, a Jake mower is going to be approximate cost in 2025, maybe $85,000. So I think keeping those larger purchase items might be a benefit. We can request the Township Board to have those items remain in the CIP and keep budgeting them out. Keep in mind, it is a working document. We can remove, replace, change, add anytime we review this document. But at this time, these are the things I would like you to take a look at. Hopefully by the next meeting in February, we'll have been out to some of the parks. We are working with the building official, like I said, hoping to schedule a couple days, depending on weather, to go out and take a look at those structures, roof repairs, those types of things moving forward for the parks. Anyone have any questions?
Would you suggest a dollar limit, like $45,000 and up?
We did not adjust any dollar amounts that were approved from last year, no. So
I mean, is to draw a line of distinction of what you will keep on the CIP and what you would not.
would keep moving forward, yes. Is that what you're asking?
So I'm saying, would you put all assets $45,000 and up on the CIP?
But we did not, because we just looked at it as the cost-wise, because those vehicles really are not structural maintenance that need to be taken care of in the CIP. However, there is a section that does allow that if you want to recommend to the Township Board that those are important items that we should be budgeting for them and have a defined budget allocation.
So how would you define important is, I guess, my question.
That's up to you as a Planning Commission.
The
We looked at it as a planning department on what we thought would be something that as if the township even budgets out for 5 years as a annual budget for those, you're going to be looking at, a different type of plan from a annual budget than you are the CIP of a 6-year plan. 6 years, $75,000, you budget that out for those 6 years. Township Board's going to look at the overall budget for the entire township and the entire buildings, everything moving forward. Those might not be able to budget out for $75,000.
Mr. Andrews?
the guidance that you provided from the Michigan Association of Planning included large pieces of equipment as capital expenses, but that would be what you're saying is that somewhat at our discretion on what qualifies as a large piece of equipment. Is it a $25,000 truck or is it a, I don't
State
think.
statute doesn't require vehicles. Other communities had included them in theirs. So we're looking at it, it would just be a recommendation. Township Board's going to make the decision whether it stays in the CIP or not. But we did look at other communities and they did have vehicles, larger purchased vehicles within their CIP. I believe it's something we can determine as a township. If we think it's a capital improvement project plan, we can add it. But keep in mind, you're just recommending, and the Township Board would determine whether they wanted to add the vehicles or have them in the annual budget.
Mr. Steiner.
Jody, this is actually really good timing to bring this up. As usual, you guys have done a good job in the planning department of looking at this, and the question came up, capital improvement, you really think about it, it is capital, is structures, buildings, infrastructure. Granted, it's like a capital expenditure when you buy some of the vehicles and things, but they're not truly capital under, like in my term, CapEx. It's not, a vehicle's not under CapEx. The Township Board has started a fund a few years ago for equipment, and vehicles and proposed needs down the road. Also for maybe building repair, even though it's part of a CIP, like this building here, a new roof would fall into the CIP plan, but we also have capabilities within the township budget that we're working on this new line item to be able to buy things, to be able to repair things. That, like I said, a couple of years ago is when that started. So we're putting money into that every year. Not that we just say we put the money and we want to spend it every year, because we do want to build it up, because there are going to be some things that are major investments. I don't know if it was Pat or Grant, which one of you said something about, did we look at maybe a number like 45,000 or whatever? That might not be a bad idea. If we looked at a dollar amount, where do we break it off to decide? Again, it may not truly be under CIP, not that we can't keep it, but maybe if we look at that as a dollar value. It won't be long that the township budget meetings will be starting in next couple months here. So, Jody, when do you plan on really want to try to narrow this down so you could also advise Mr. Miller and the board, township board, of what you think we want to pull out of this and move it back into either general fund or into that line item in the budget?
If I have an item on in the first meeting in February, I'll be bringing it back, or it will be the second meeting in February.
Okay. So sometime in February, that should give us a little bit of time there, that if this board commission makes a decision, you have time to get it over to the township board before it goes into the full budgeting process, and then we can take all that in consideration.
Absolutely.
So good job on your department again, you and Katrina.
And Bob Miller.
And Bob. Bob's the numbers guy. We praise him all the time, so this time it's Jody and Katrina.
That guy knows this budget like the back of his hand. It's
He does.
Amazing.
He does.
I think Mr. Lake has.
Mr. Chair, a question.
Mr. Lake, I'm sorry.
Yeah, so maybe this question, I need to back up a few steps here because I don't recall this from the past. So I was hoping I'd get a little context as to, why this would be a planning commission effort here to understand this and kind of approve this, and then just maybe get kind of a strategic vision as to, what are you hoping to accomplish with determining what should be in CIP, versus just the general fund. I don't know if a dollar value is appropriate or not. I'm more focused on what items belong what and where, and maybe if I get a little context that way, that would help me understand this better.
Okay. My apologies, because I did not know if I was going to have members. We do have an actual language that goes along with it. I will email that over to you so you have that document as well that was approved with the actual CIP, the original documentation. It is actually state mandated because we have ownership of a sewer treatment plant. And if you own your own sewer treatment plant by state statute, you are required to have a capital improvement plan to help offset those costs in the future for capital improvement items. They look at it as structures, large pieces of equipment, and that's why we're looking at like the township property. And of course, moving forward, we're looking at putting in the maintenance building out back. You have the parks that have larger structures, maintenance of the equipment and the parks of the items on site, the swing sets, the gymnasiums, those types of things that the kids play on in the large spectrum of the cost to look at those items, see when they were updated. We kind of took I'm going to use the election equipment here that maybe Trudy has one on here that I can look at. Okay, so we look at, I'm going to look at this line item for the buildings and grounds, the library, building, and parking lot. Monroe County Library uses the structure, but the property and the building is owned by the township. That is our responsibility to maintain it, do the repairs work on the building itself. So at this time, we're looking at, there may be some possibilities of the grounds of the library, maybe the parking lot in 2026. So we estimated that around about a $55,000 in 2026. Last year, we allocated $19,000 into the budget. Planning Commission actually is the one that reviews all the structures, gives the cost estimate, how much we should allocate, and then they recommend it. Township Board is the only board that can give authorization of funding. So you make a recommendation. This was the simple spreadsheet that we could come up with to provide. Hold on, let me go back to it.
We should start using PowerPoints.
I know. To provide that would break it down so when we did this, because we were trying to, it was, when we first brought it, let me back up, it was a learning curve for everyone within the township. We hadn't had a CIP, we didn't have no documentation or language. Mr. Mahoney, Mr. Lampkowski, Mr. Corvette, we all worked very hard in having outside meetings, meeting up, trying to figure out where we needed to get this taken care of to at least get started. We pulled assets that the clerk's department had, what was audited, and we moved into a direction to come up with these items that we were looking at. It is a working document. If we've missed something, we can add it. We can take something off if it's a new purchase, then we can reevaluate it for 6 years. But in moving forward, these were the items that had been proposed as assets from all agencies and departments that were within the township. Now that we've got further clarification that it's structural, large pieces of equipment, other than that, the other items of vehicles, whether we determine to recommend that or not, like I said, you're a recommending board on this, and then it goes to the township board. But the numbering, where the figures come from, these are estimated costs that we had done research as a planning department because we don't have on-site inspectors other than our building official that actually and contracted electrical, plumbing. Those are all contracted out. So we looked at different quotes that were for maybe a 10-year roof on a size of a structure. And so we came up with those numbers to at least give us a starting point. This will only be the second time that the Planning Commission is going to be making a recommendation. So it's still a learning curve, I think, for everyone involved. But we are, I think, pinpointing it down and getting a better direction to provide to the Township Board.
Okay, so if I can summarize what I think I heard so I can check my understanding. CIP is really more of a budgeting tool that's mandated because of a structure like the sewage treatment plant. And because of that, it sounds like the statute that came down or the law that came down probably from Michigan government states that you have to have a CIP plan to manage all of your capital so that you can ensure that you replace it appropriately. That's essentially
Plan to replace it.
Gotcha. So each year budget aside some money, hold it aside so you can repair it. Don't just put it in your general fund and then you don't get the general fund. You have no money to repair anything.
Correct. And I'll send that documentation over, my apologies, but I will send over the actual language and all the documents that we have that we provided in the beginning.
Okay.
I'll send that to you as well, Jacob.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Jody, and again, to summarize, Jake said first he'd seen this. There was a number of years that goes back, and since I've been here for quite some years, and Mr. Campreth has also. One of the things that our previous planner, Dennis Jenkins, he worked on capital improvement. Mr. Covret, when he was on previous planning commissions, he was one that was always trying to help push for the capital improvement plan. And the budgeting just did not come forward from the Township Hall because it's not a cheap process. There's money that has to be expended to really put together a capital improvement plan and do it correctly. So again, probably in the last, Jody, how long when did you start? How many years ago?
Be here almost 10 years now.
Wow, time flies. So I'm going to say probably in the last 6 to 8 years, more so, is when it really started to get brought back to the forefront. The current township board said, absolutely, we've got to fund this. We've got to make sure that we give, the planning department their funding needed to put together a CIP. Again, it's required by the state, and since we didn't do it, there could have been issues, but now we're getting to where we need to be. So we have to stay on par with what the state mandates.
Okay, anybody else want to make any comments, questions?
One last thing.
Yes.
Jake mentioned PowerPoints on some of this. Stuff like these, if we could get it in a spreadsheet format, because That way you can lock the cells or lock your columns and stuff, and you can really maneuver around there. I don't know if that's possible. We can get that in a spreadsheet format. I mean, even if you have to lock it all down so nobody can change anything, you can do that. The only thing I would say is if it gets locked down, lock it so you can't change anything in the cells, but make the cells selectable. So sometimes if you say, oh, there was a formula here, where did it come from? But if you lock it completely, I can't see the formula. So that's sometimes nice too. You can say, oh, well, he took this plus this plus this, and be able to see those. I think that'd be a big help for anybody that uses spreadsheets.
I second that motion.
Making sure that we can sort and filter too.
Yeah, do some analytics on it.
Yeah.
Keep in mind, you can't change anything here working. These are just screens.
Yep.
I wish you could have maneuverability on them, but you do not.
Right.
It's a step forward that we actually have these at our desks instead of paper.
Can we add that to the next CIP that we can touch?
Get wise,
Sorry.
young man.
Sorry.
Sorry.
Close it out.
All right. Item 9, public comment. Nobody from the public here, so we'll move on to item 10, information. Ms. Rector?
I have no information, but I would like to welcome our new members. Jake has served on the Planning Commission previously, and he was priorly on my Board of Zoning Appeals. He will be missed on the BZA, but I'm thankful that he determined to continue to serve the community and come back to Planning Commission. We'll welcome Jake Tremblay. He was appointed last night from the Township Board. And like I said, Aaron Waynes will be our 7th member, and hopefully we'll get him sworn in and he'll be in attendance at the next meeting. Thank you, gentlemen, and have a good evening.
Mr. Camperth? Nothing. Ms. Rector? I'm sorry, Ms. Ingram?
Nothing.
Mr. Helm?
Welcome new board members. Nothing else for me.
Mr. Andrews?
Nothing from me.
Mr. Tremblay?
Nothing.
Mr. Steiner?
Basically, again, same thing, welcome aboard. Next meeting, we should have a full board, and hopefully that, I know sometimes circumstances come up, but hopefully we can stay pretty strong and have a full board for the majority of this year. Like I said, I know things come up where, we've all had to miss something now and then, but hopefully that's on a limited basis. As I mentioned, I've been around quite a few years. Mr. Campos been around quite a few. Now, I didn't realize Jody's already been here 10. Katrina, you're probably pushing, 4? Gosh, time does fly. So, for those that have been around +5, hopefully we can teach the newer people. But then on the other side, for those of you that are newer, I'm sure that there's things that maybe you can teach us that we didn't think about, and maybe we think about things in a different way. So appreciate that and look forward to working with all of you.
Mr. Lake?
Hey, thanks for welcoming me back to Planning Commission. It's been 7 years since I served on the Planning Commission last time, and it was a joy. Got to serve with Mr. Steiner. So, but I echo Mr. Steiner's comments, on the folks that are new. Definitely bring some fresh ideas. Don't get caught up in the protocol of these meetings. I used to do that when I was new on this board. Don't worry about it. Just ask questions. Don't be afraid to ask the stupid questions, because those are usually what everyone else is thinking.
Okay. Welcome, guys, again. 7 years and no gray hair, huh, Jake? How do you
It was
do
5 when I started last time.
Okay, with that, we'll adjourn the meeting. All those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
All right.